It is now the turn of Mr. Harinder Takar.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I want to acknowledge the tragedy that took place in Connecticut. 26 people died, among them many children, who had their whole life ahead of them. My thoughts and prayers are with the families of the victims. We are very fortunate to live in a province that's one of the best provinces in Canada and one of the best countries in the world. This province faces two issues right now, in my mind. One is elimination of deficit of $14 billion. The other is the creation of jobs. $14 billion deficit, I have made that, eliminating a year ahead, I have made that as my priority. And that is in my 100-day plan that I actually launched the day I launched my bid for the leadership. Why it is important to actually eliminate the $14 billion deficit? We are paying about $10.5 billion interest on $14 billion every year, actually on our debt of $270 billion every year. If we don't eliminate the deficit, our debt will keep going up. I think the recent information, and I think it is in today's National Post, it says basically the debt translates into $22,000 debt for every person in Ontario. So what can we do with this $10.5 billion that we pay in interest every year? We could have double the number of doctors and the nurses in our hospitals. We could actually add 10,000 more police officers on our streets to make our streets safer. We could actually build more transit and highways. So that's why I have made actually elimination of a deficit a year early my priority. I just didn't say that. Actually, what I did was I actually released a very detailed plan how we can eliminate that deficit a year early. I have actually given the figures of $5.8 billion that we can actually increase either by revenue or cutting costs or by increasing efficiencies when the deficit in 2017 and 18 is about $3.5 billion. So my experience in life has been actually, I came as an immigrant with almost nothing in my pocket. I built my business, I created jobs. So my experience has been actually managing very tight financial situations, but more importantly, actually hands-on experience to create jobs. So I look forward to working with you to address those two important issues in Ontario. And thank you very much for your support and actually hosting us here today, this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Takar. Our next speaker is Mr. Glenn Murray.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all of you for your passion, your hard work every day as Liberals, sticking with governments through thick and thin. We all up here owe all of you a great debt of gratitude, and thank you. I'm running because I think I bring a unique value proposition to our party and to our province. We have a very different economy today, and I don't think it's time to stay the course. Unlike many others, I am asking for a fundamental change in economic and fiscal policy in this government because I think it's essential. And I think if we do that, Ontario will lead the world. I think if we stay on the same course we are right now, we're inevitably going to run into significant turbulence. So here's how I see it, and you can test the truth of it. And here are the specifics. Not a bumper sticker slogan, but specifics on how to address it. One, business ain't what it used to be. 4.4% of businesses are generating almost 50% of our jobs. These companies are almost all less than 5 or 6 years old, and they all have 500 or less employees. And what is the biggest challenge? Because some of them are now leaving for Massachusetts, and some of them are now leaving for California. When they go to get money, they can't get it from the bank. Venture capital is dead. Our LSIFs didn't work. They can't get money. So I'm proposing, and actually right now there's only half as much money as required to grow those businesses. So how do you change that? I'm introducing reductions in taxes on capital gains, an angel investment tax credit. I worked with John Ruffalo, Roger Martin. I worked with some of the best minds. This will generate hundreds of thousands of jobs. It will not only keep these companies here, it will grow them. I don't think there's a better idea to do that because those should be 10% of our businesses. Second, we have to make education easier. 70% of jobs and 100% of middle-class jobs require university college education. I'm proposing people pay for it when they can most afford it when they get their job, and they get a tax write-off to do it. That will restore it, plus middle-class tax credits, which will give middle-class folks income and their spending determines 65% of jobs creation. Those three things will get us elected, and they'll keep our economy on course. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. The final opening statement is from Mr. Gerard Kennedy.
Bonsoir. Je souhaite à tous cet événement est une ère de renouvellement pour notre parti, bien sûr, mais pour la province. Et aussi, d'abord, je dois remercier notre chef, notre Premier ministre, Dalton McGuinty, qui a donné non seulement nous, les candidats, non seulement nous, le parti, mais la province, l'opportunité pour un renouvellement de respecter un meilleur avenir. This is what Premier McGuinty has done, is asked for a fresh agenda. He's asked us to respond to the challenge of a new agenda for change. And it's not hiding or putting to the side anything that we've done. We have actually done for Ontarians 2 recoveries. One, as people remember from opposition years to government, from Mike Harris, no small thing to have people believe again in public services and get a sense that they can be relevant in their lives. And that was accomplished with a lot of duress, with a surprise $6 billion budget, but by motivating people, first Liberals, and then the rest of the province. And franchement, il y a des défis maintenant pour nous. Il y a des personnes qui n'ont pas un lien avec notre objectif. We've got to recreate a sense of connection to our party. We dealt with the recession, but we haven't yet dealt with our fiscal challenge in the full fashion that we have to. And what we have from Mr. Drummond is a challenge, without doubt, but it's a Liberal challenge to transform government services, to motivate people, the way we did when we built up education. We have a 38% increase in test scores, cut the dropout rate in half, and we did that, people like Kathleen and others here, without sort of being there ourselves, but by putting trust and faith in other people. The same thing in our advances in healthcare and so forth. And what Mr. McGuinty and others did to make sure that we got the jobs in the auto industry and elsewhere was an accomplishment that we all should be proud of. But to go forward, we need to make change here now. You, the members, need to decide about the degree of that change. I say that part of this is to change how we work, that the leader's office of all political parties has too much power. It's time to put it back in the hands of our members, time to have the ideas flowing through not just our party, but through the government, and making sure that as we move forward, that Ontarians can see that we're here not to renew our party, not for one of us to become leader, but so that they can be better off. Thank you. Merci bien.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, candidates. Now we begin the question and answer portion of our debate this evening. These questions were submitted by members of the party by email over the past couple of weeks. And just to remind you, the candidates and their teams do know the general subjects, but they have not heard the specific questions. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to respond, and the order of the answers was determined by draw. Again, we remind everyone in the room this evening to show respect for all of our candidates. Our first segment today is about renewal of the Ontario Liberal Party. What's the first reform that you would bring to the party, and why do you think it's necessary? And how would you involve current members and people who are not yet members in that reform? The first to respond, is determined by lot, is Gerard Kennedy.
The first thing I would do is rebalance the powers in our party. We have 3 wings that must all be effective and accountable: the elected caucus, the elected members, and the leader. And at the cornerstone of that is giving up some of the power, something you won't get from a leader after the leadership debate is over. And that means accountability sessions that any region of the province, certain number of ridings, can call the leader to. But at the result of a whole new role that we have for input on policy, we need not wait for policy conventions to be engaged in advocacy networks and so on. To have the ability, the capacity to draw on the talents that we have of our members means that the leader has to stand accountable, not just at leadership, not just after elections, but on an ongoing basis. And that will change how MPPs will also be able to stand up in the House and speak for their constituents and for the interests of their local areas. It's time for us to become the most modern and democratic political party. It's the kind of change that will not only put you in a place to make a difference in this province, but regain the confidence of Ontarians.
Thank you very much. It's okay. Eric Hoskins.
Thank you. Well, You know, sometimes when you have a long and effective time as government, you begin to take some things for granted. And you lose touch with the grassroots of the party. So my top priority would be to strengthen the voice of our ridings, of our associations, of our memberships, particularly in the unheld ridings. I've spent the last month crisscrossing the province, spending most of my time in unheld ridings in rural and northern Ontario. And what I have heard is perhaps not shocking, perhaps not surprising, but it's very distressing and disappointing when I hear time and time again that members of this party and associations and their executives feel that we as a party have lost touch with them. We as a government aren't consulting enough with them. And in our unheld ridings particularly, where it's more difficult because they don't have an MPP to represent them in caucus, in government, is we need to find ways to strengthen and elevate their voice so that they have a role in policy, a stronger role in policy development. We need to take a 107 riding strategy in our campaigns to make sure that we continue to invest in all of our great membership, whether it's in the north or the south or the east or the west of this province. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Harinder Takar.
My feeling is that the concerns of our members is no different, actually, the concerns of the general public. We need to get the members engaged. We need to get connected with the members. And I think one way to get connected is, I think two of my colleagues talked about, is actually we need to get people involved in the policy development so they have some ownership to what we do. The second issue in my mind is we need to start listening to people, not just getting them involved, but start listening. So when they give us good ideas, we should implement those ideas. And if we are moving away from those ideas, then we should go back to them and say, these are the reasons we are actually moving away from those ideas. And if you have any input, please give us the input. I also feel that we need to get our caucus connected back to the members and the riding associations. So if I got elected as the leader of this party, what I will do is I will assign each member of the provincial parliament who is Liberal member 3-4 ridings so they can go and regularly visit them, get connected with them, hear back the ideas, and pass it back to us. And even in the caucus, we need to have discussion about what people are telling us. Not about our policies, but actually what people are telling us. I think that is the only way for us to get connected to our grassroots and actually start listening to them and start implementing their ideas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Takar. Kathleen Wynne.
So first of all, I just want to say, I think what we're talking about is building on a good thing. Because I think we have a very good thing in our party, and I think we should be proud of that and all of the work that we've done over the last 9 years together under the leadership of Dalton. So I think we're improving on a good thing. So I've got a 7-point plan. It's on my website. I'm not going to go over all 7 points, but 3 things I think we need to do. I think we need to strengthen and review the nomination process. So I would like to propose that Provincial Council, that we share with Provincial Council the power to lift the freeze on nominations so that riding presidents can exercise the option to determine the timing of nominations. That's something that I have heard from a lot of ridings. The second thing that I want to do is I want to increase the engagement of party members in policy development, and I think that's been said by a couple of people. In between elections, we need an ongoing policy discussion so that those ideas feed into a platform, not just in the weeks or months leading up to an election. And finally, leader accessibility. I want to allow for engagement directly with the Premier, town halls, teletown halls on a regular basis so that direct relationship can be established.
Thank you very much.